In this video, what we're going to be looking at is brushes and basically how to create your own creative brushes. And here I've got a picture of some smoke, and I'm just looking at this. I'm very interested in this area because that's quite nice there. So got some nice detail in this area. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a brush so we can actually paint with this effect. But first of all, I need to make a selection. So I'm going to use the lasso tool. I'm going to select an area. And I'm choosing this on the edge for a number of reasons. We want a brush that's going to be usable. We need this black area is nice. The smoke is fading out there on that side, so that's nice. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to paste it. Okay, so all we've got is that at the moment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the background layer. So I'm just going to double click that, click on OK, convert it to a layer, and then hit the backspace. So we're just left with this. And let's look at the whole image now. And the next thing I'm going to do is to crop it down. So I'm going to click on the crop tool. I'm going to crop it to 1000 pixels on the width. Let's do that 1000 by 1000. Okay, so we just need to make sure we include the smoke in that area, obviously. I'm going to play about with this, so nothing's really important at this stage. So just click on there, and there we've got our smoke. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this layer. So various ways you can do that. Right click. If we right click on that area there, and we can duplicate the layer. Click on OK. So now we've got two areas of smoke, and if I click on the move tool, you can see I can click on this. When you're outside of the bounding box, make sure you've got the show transform controls ticked there on the options bar. I can rotate this. I'm going to click on the other layer. Need to confirm that first. Press enter. I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to merge them together basically. Something like that. If I click on the other one now, just press enter on that to confirm. Okay, so I'm just layering them over each other. So what I'm now going to do is to select both of them. So click on the top one, hold down the shift key, click on the bottom one, and then I can move these around. And I want to resize them. So I've got both of them highlighted, I can resize them both together. I want to try and fill, not right to the very edge, but fairly close to the edge. We will adjust this again later. Press the enter key. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to be working on the top one. And what I'm going to do on this is to add a mask. I'm going to use a black paintbrush with a soft, very soft output. So we drag the hardness all the way down to the left so it's nice and soft. I'm going to alter the size of the brush. Now make sure you select a black for your foreground colour. So we select black there. And I'm just going to click and just soften the edges. when I click inside, obviously I'm bringing the one at the back into play. Okay, so now I'm going to click on the background one, and I'm going to put a mask on that as well. Again, select black. So we put the mask on. We've got black selected. And I'm just going to soften the edges on this. We didn't want to do that. Okay, that's looking okay now. That's not too bad. We want to make sure that we've got nothing on the edge of the actual box there. And then I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to drag this to the bottom. And I'm going to make sure I've got black selected still. I'm going to click on the paint bucket tool. And I'm going to click in there. It just helps me see then if I've got any hard edges. So I have on there, I need to make sure which one that's on. So it's on layer 1. So I'll go to the mask, and I've still got my black brush. And I'm just going to soften this edge up. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take, you can do two things, and I'm going to talk a little bit about flow and opacity. Out of the two, opacity takes opacity down of the layer, and when you actually do that and you start painting, it's like, it's hard to explain, it's like stamping a selection down, and you tend to get very edgy work when you use the opacity setting. Now the flow works in a different way. It's a bit like working with wet paint. You're reducing how much you're tipping out basically, instead of stamping it, painting it on like with dry paint, if you want to put it like that, with the opacity. So the opacity gives like a dry paint effect. It lessens the opacity and you get sort of steps in it, whereas with flow it's smooth. So rather than, I always leave the opacity at 100%, and I use the flow more than the opacity. And what I'm going to do with this is just come in and just very lightly, so I've got it down very low. I'm going to use a smaller brush there. I just want to get rid of this hard edge there. And there's other ways of doing this as well, which I'll show you in a moment, but I'm just going to smooth out that edge there. So it's not quite so harsh. And I really like this area. Now I've got to make sure that I'm on the right layer for that. So that is on this layer. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to make a selection, making sure I'm click on off the mask onto the actual selection. And I'm going to draw around this area here. I like these soft edges on this. I'm going to copy that, so Command C or Control C on your PC, or go to Edit Copy, whatever method, and then Control V or Command V on the Mac, or Edit Paste, either way, and that will give you this selection. And what I'm going to do with this is rotate this like that. I'm going to put it on the edge of this. Just commit that transformation. And then I'm going to put a mask on that. So we're building up, I'm working up, and I'm trying to get a nice overall smoke effect on this. And what we will eventually do is use it as a brush. So again, I've gone to this, I've got the flow down quite low. We're just taking out any hard lines, soften this up. And so I'm also using a Wacom pen at the moment, but you can do the same with a mouse. you haven't got quite as much control on the softness, but take that setting down and you should get something quite nice. So using the flow, you should be able to get more or less the same effect. Okay, now I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is to select all the layers. I'll click on the top one, hold down the shift key, click on that one. I'm leaving the layer, the background layer, layer 2, unselected. Okay, and then I'm going to hold Control and click. And what I want to do is to merge the layers. So all of that now is on that one layer. Okay, so I'm going to resize this now and try and fill this area up. This is a nice thing with something like this. You can really play now. What I'm going to be doing with this, I'm going to be making a brush from this, so I don't want to get too close to the edge because with the white area, because if I do that, what'll happen is I'll get an edge on there. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. I don't want to get too close that I get an edge when I use it as a brush. So now I'm happy with that. We can flatten the layers. So again, we can right click to do that. Flatten image. And there we go. Let's just double click the hand tool. If we double click the magnifying glass, we're actually at that resolution, which is very high. Now, this is actually a colour photograph. It's not a black and white photo, obviously it's smoke, so there's lots of colour detail in this, and I want to remove that. So, something I don't usually use is the black and white filter, but in this case it'll probably be okay. We just want, actually I'll use the saturation. So I'm going to go to Image, and then go to Adjust, Image, Adjustments, and I want Hue and Saturation, and all I'm going to do is drag that saturation slider all the way down. Can you see you've got that colour in there? So that's took all the saturation out, so basically that's turned it black and white, which is much nicer than doing the convert to black and white. Okay, so I'm happy with that now. So now we want to make a brush. Now when we make a brush, the black is the solid area. So really, we want to inverse this. We want to make it the colours the opposite way around. Now you can go to Image, Adjustments and Invert. That's one way. Or I can simply click on the layer and it's Command I on the Mac. I think it's Control I on the PC. Try it. If not, use the other method. Okay, so that swaps it round. Now what I'm going to do is to go to the adjustments again. So I go to Image, Adjustments, and I want Levels, because I want to make this much more dense. So I'm bringing up this, dragging down the left hand side, which will give me more blacks. I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. I don't want to go too dark because something like that's okay. So I'll click on OK. Right, and I'm looking at this now, just checking it over because I'm not too sure this edge is a little bit hard there. So I'm just going to get a white brush and I'm just going to paint over this. I'm going to use a very we've got smoothing, sorry, the flow down to 15%, that's okay, and I'm just going to paint out this hard edge. I don't want a typical line there. So, and something else you can also use, which is nice, is the smudge tool. So the smudge tool, you can just go on the edge and just ease it out slightly and get a much more natural effect than painting. And if you reduce the size of that, you can just, that's what you want to avoid. So you want to probably get a bigger brush, just teasing the edges, just to bring out a little bit of detail. Okay, that's fine. That'll do me, I think. Just maybe do that little bit there. We'll probably take the strength down just a little bit. That'll be fine. Okay, so all we do now is we go to Edit and we click on Define Brush Preset. And it's called Smoke Layers because that was the name of the file. So in my case that's okay, but you can rename that. I'll get rid of the JPEG part of it. So Smoke Layers, click on OK, and we now straight away have a brush. Okay, so let's just get a new document. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter too much what size it is. Okay, so we've got this brush now. Okay, making sure I've clicked on the brush. So let's just select the brush. So we can see now we've got Smoke Layers. And I can reduce the size of that. To anything basically. And just tap in. Now you can use the brush settings actually with this, and you can make it rotate and everything. We'll go into that at a later stage. You can see now I've done that, and I can change to white and go small. And we can get some great effects with this. So you can use it for backgrounds, you can put smoke on pictures, you know, and it becomes very, very creative. And it's free basically. All you need is a picture of some smoke. And you can do that with any picture. You know, you can play around and create all these great brushes for use in your pictures and images. That's all from Les.